Genshin Impact has various incredibly strong characters in its cast. Yet wherever there is the desirable, there is also the undesirable. There are unfortunately some units in this game who aren't exactly all that great meta-wise. So today, I thought it'd be fun to take a look at some of Genshin Impact's worst units, and then decide which one is truly the worst character in all of Genshin Impact. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. I'm gonna start off with one of the most infamously bad units in history. Yes, I know she has a unique Chlorant use case now, I will get onto that. Qiqi has multiple pressing issues. First off, all she does is heal. This isn't so bad anymore since we have a lovely Lady Farina, but before 4.2, holy guacamole, Qiqi provided next to nothing. With that being said, there are plenty of other healers that can sustain Farina just fine. Qiqi is far from being the Hydro Archon's best option. And here's the thing, whether you look at healers from before or after Farina's time, there is one factor which determines how good a healer is or not, aside from the quality of their sustenance. What else do they provide other than only their heals? I'm gonna ask you to take a look at some of this game's other great healers. Jean, for example, can hold 4VV, can Sunfire, can Cleanse, has a nice C2 for Wanderer, and has a great C4 for Animo DPSs in general, while also being a great Favonius sword holder. Plus, her Farina synergy, of course. Xianyun, able to enable plunge playstyles for many characters, which ends up being better than their regular combos, helps enable Plunge Diluc, taking advantage of that dude's massive plunge scalings, can hold 4P Song of Days Past, buffs plunges making her great for Xiao teams, and is also great for Farina. Even Charlotte, a Cryo 4-star healer, finds herself being quite the useful character because of Nervalette freeze teams. She constantly applies Cryo, allowing Nervy to freeze from far away, making her a great AoE Nervy pick, while also enabling Ayaka Farina freeze as a viable combo. Qiqi only heals. Sure, she can provide some weak damage of 4P Ocean Hoot Clam, but it'll pretty much always be more DPS to replace Qiqi with a more synergistic support for the team. This is not mentioning how horrible her energy issues are. It's preferable for the healer to have some battery-in qualities. Having high ER requirements isn't inherently the problem. After all, both Jean and Xianyun want ER for their own bursts, but at least they can still provide particles to their teams. Qiqi is a net negative to any team's energy economy. Plus, her uptime without a highly refined sack sword is abysmal. You have to wait far too long to access Qiqi's skill again, so a sack sword to reset the skill's cooldown after the initial cast of it is nigh essential. Qiqi's cryo application is also... listen man, there's like 50 better slot-ins if that's what you're looking for. Alas, despite all this, Qiqi does have the redeeming quality of being a part of the best physical team in the game, that being Chlorant Qiqi physical teams. While this is far from Chloriander's best team, it provides a surprisingly powerful experience for what is supposed to be a meme team. This is a team that doesn't work without Qiqi, and she gets to take advantage of her Farina synergy here. It's an odd but interesting saving grace to this kit. Amber is another character who has infamously always been seen as pretty bad. I've already made an entire video as to why it's so weird that the 3 starter 4-star characters aren't available on limited banners. And this especially hurts Amber, because at C0, she simply cannot be a competent DPS. You can try to, of course, but you really want her constellations for her Diona Melt team to properly shine. This is because you can then detonate her Baron Bunny, and summon another one relatively quick to get off another Pyro Nuke, but at C0, you can't detonate her Baron Bunny yourself. Her burst's power application lasts for an extremely brief period of 2 seconds, and there are very few cases in which you'd actually want to use Amber. She is simply outclassed by other Pyro characters in almost every way. With that being said, Amber can hold Elegy for the End and Hu Tao teams, and in general to provide some neat buffing to the team. She can also hold 4-piece instructors while she's at it, which allows her to be a competent buffer. This is the main thing that saves Amber from being complete and utter garbage, because while she may have decent constellations, other Pyro DPSs will always be more efficient, yet her more supportive role allows her to still hold some relevance. I will say that Amber C6 also has some neat buffing qualities to it. I feel like I've went off on this poor guy so many times. Listen, I swear that I do like Kaveh as a character in the story. He truly is a silly pants. But I will never understand why he rejected all that Mora in the Parade of Providence event back in 3.6. If you want to move house and pay your debt, dude, then just do that? You literally had the chance. Oh, whatever. Anyways, back onto why he's one of the game's worst units. I think we can all agree when I say that every Genshin Impact character should, to some extent, be a positive force in the teams that you apply them to. Like, Yoimiya isn't the strongest pyro DPS of all time, but when you add her to a team with Yelan in it, the team is still better now because she is providing her own damage, plus pyro application from vaporizes. When using a character, they should add something that makes them worth having in the team, as opposed to the slot just being empty. Quote unquote, better than air, if you will. Kaveh is still better than air in pure bloom teams, but in hyper bloom and Burgeon comps, bro's literally worse than air. You would rather have an empty team slot, and he's pretty close to being worse than air in pure bloom as well. This is because when you add him to a bloom team, he literally works against transformative reactions. In simple terms, he detonates all bloom cores at the same time, which makes reaching the transformative reaction damage cap way too easy, and that cap is 2 instances per 0.5 seconds, so less damage. Sure, Kaveh also has self-sustain, but you can literally just on-field Yao Yao if that's so much of a problem. Kokomi too, of course, but not everyone has her. He's a Claymore, which also does him no favors, because his attacks are slow, dude, like really slow, and this is a problem that makes Kaveh's Dendro application really slow. I've said slow 3 times now 4, you get the point. Meaning that he isn't generating bloom cores all that quickly to begin with. Plus, it's not like the buffs that he provides bloom are all that substantial. Nilou can provide up to 400% bloom damage bonus. Kaveh up to 58% if he is C6 and crowned. If we remove the +3, that's 49.5%. Sure, something is better than nothing, but consider diminishing returns, my friend. Plus, reaction damage percent isn't really that strong of a buff. So you need a super high amount of it, like Nilou, in order for it to be actually influential. Plus, that amount of bloom damage bonus is simply not enough to justify all the flaws that Kaveh brings to the table. Sure, his constellations do help out a little bit, mostly his C2 indirectly increasing his Dendro application thanks to his faster normals. His C4 also causes his cores to deal more damage, and his C6 offering some more Dendro damage in general. Yet all of this combined is still not enough for Kaveh to be even remotely close to beating a C0 Yao Yao's performance in Nilou bloom teams. I seriously cannot state enough how bad it is that Kaveh limits and slows down your bloom cores. It is an active DPS loss to your bloom teams, and if you're still clearing Abyss just fine with him, trust me, your Nilou is carrying. Remove Nilou and all of a sudden, bro combusts and falls apart hard. And that's another thing, he isn't even a good 4-star replacement for Nilou, because replace Kaveh for literally anybody else in a team with Yelan and Xingqiu in it, and you will clear at least 2 times faster. He's a nice dude, but bro, just because you're in debt with Dory doesn't mean that your kid also has to be in debt. Then we move on to one of Genshin Impact's most forgettable cast members, Aloy. I feel like the fact that nobody talks about her is already testament to how bad she is, but why is that? It's mostly because Aloy provides pretty much nothing of value. Her kit suggests that she would be a cryo DPS, yet unfortunately her damage is very low in almost every circumstance, as well as being incredibly inconsistent to actually obtain. She actually has some decent cryo batterying, but she provides nothing on top of that, and the cooldown for said batterying takes too long. It also sucks that she has no constellations. There is physically, or I suppose in this case, cryogenically, no way for you to improve her kit through constellatory means. There isn't really any specific use case for Aloy. I don't know of a single team where you would genuinely want to use her over another option. She quite literally does exist. I'm not sure if I'd say this is as bad as Kaveh's case, where he is actively worse wherever you slot him, but it's darn well close, considering that she has 0 use cases. Plus, I suppose you could make the argument that she is as bad as Kaveh, because she isn't exactly improving any teams she's added to either. Alright, now I think it's time to decide who is truly the most garbage unit out of this lot. I tried to aim for characters that I think we all universally agree are bad within this community. I do think you can make viable arguments for all these characters, and I do invite you to share your own opinions down below in the comments. If I'm wrong about something in your opinion, then please do share. If we go by the process of elimination, then Amber is crossed off. She can't be the worst because her Elegy plus 4-piece Instructors build really isn't all that shabby and works quite nicely in Hu Tao teams. Sure, Vivi Vape may not be as strong as it was before, but it's still a team option that exists which I can realistically see somebody picking up, and being an Elegy holder in general is goated. Qiqi's physical Cloran team. I don't like glazing this team, I'll be honest. I do respect that it's pretty powerful for a meme team, and it's actually very entertaining seeing Qiqi with a proper use case that isn't complete cope or absolutely awful. This is unironically a place in which she works to a solid extent, and Chloriander is a powerful DPS which helps. The main reason I don't like this team is because Clorox's other options are far better. The likes of Overload, Hyper, and Aggro Chloriander are going to wipe the physical team out of existence performance-wise. But juice, the physical team still does pretty well. Yep, exactly, that's why Qiqi's out of the running for the worst unit in the game. But my point about it not being Cloran's best in slot team still stands. So that brings us down to these two, Kaveh and Aloy, brick versus brick. By the end of this video, we'll be able to build a retirement home for all these awful units with all these bricks. It's a pretty hard decision between these two. I could simply say it's a tie and call it a day there, but that's lame. You've all come this far in the video, how could I simply chalk it up to a tie? What a letdown. So with that being said, after careful consideration, the worst character in Genshin Impact is Aloy. Listen, at least Kaveh self-sustains employment as a dental option that exists. Wow, he exists, crazy, but at least that's something. Why would you ever use Aloy? Kaveh, you can at least make the excuse of comfort, but what the heck does Aloy even do? Hoyoverse really decided, let's make Aloy exist, and decided not to elaborate on their sentence further. Of course, if you play and enjoy these characters, more power to you. We're all having fun here, and I do like Amber and Kaveh as characters in the story, especially Kaveh. In any case, have fun playing who you want to. If Kaveh can clear the abyss, then trust me, your left toenail can clear the abyss. At the very least, all characters are endgame ready. Hoyo would never release a character who could not clear all of the endgame content with enough personal and team investment. That being said, why did they make Kaveh so bad? He was a pretty popular character during Sumeru. Huh. Weird, I suppose. Hopefully this video was able to tell you who the worst character is in Genshin Impact. This has been Juice, signing out, and the quality of Aloy makes me concerned for the Honkai Star Rail Fate collab. Ah yes, Astolfo with damage worse than Jing Yuan's. Lovely.